Author and professor James K.A. Smith says this: "We are what we want. Our wants and longings and desires are at the core of our identity, the wellspring from which our actions and behavior flow. Our wants reverberate from our heart, the epicenter of the human person." In other words, Smith is saying that we are not primarily defined by what we know or what we believe. Who we actually are and what we actually want is revealed in what we continually crave, desire, and long for. Smith goes on, he says this: "Operating under the hood of our consciousness, so to speak, our default autopilot, the longings of our heart both point us in the direction of a kingdom and propel us towards whatever that kingdom is. We are not merely brains on a stick, rationally parsing out every single decision based on a cost-benefit analysis. We do what we've been conditioned to love, and then we process that later. Thomas Cranmer puts it this way: what the heart wants, the will chooses, and the mind justifies. Now, what does this have to do with Gen Z and technology? The reality is this: the screens in our phones serve as an expose of what our hearts really actually want. Our internet histories, who we follow on Instagram, what we tweet, what's in our cart on Amazon. All of it serves as a spiritual echocardiogram. And we all know the prognosis is terrifying, not only for our students, but for ourselves as well. The following cartoon illustrates this point. As you can see, reason thinks it's in charge, but ultimately it doesn't stand a chance against the power of emotion, or what I've just described as the power of our hearts. So then, why is the digital age particularly dangerous for this dynamic? Because more than ever, programmers and marketers, they all have data and research to appeal to our loves every time we pick up our phone. It's a constant barrage. It creates an environment where our desires are formed and we don't even realize it. Let's look at another cartoon. Our students are swimming with the current of a digital world that is largely informed by millennial techies in Silicon Valley that work for like one of 5 companies. Their loves and desires are being subtly formed without them even knowing it. It might be the same for us. Furthermore, their attention spans are eroding and their ability to sit, think, and process is continually diminishing. Pastor and author John Mark Comer says it this way: "There's no killer app for the soul. Souls are grown the ancient way, like trees, slowly, over decades, on a timescale entirely different to that of human civilization, by sinking roots deep and waiting patiently. This ancient way of unhurried Bible reading, prolonged attention, and prayer and meditation, it's hard to find in Gen Z. As disciple makers, we are in the business of growing redwoods, not weeds. If we are to do that, the digital ecosystem must be reevaluated." Here's a takeaway as we conclude. The power and habit of spiritual disciplines is greatly underestimated today. 60% of Gen Z says that their generation is on their phone too much, and the other 40% are probably lying. What habits could we instill to regulate our phone usage and encourage growth the ancient way? Maybe suggest that your student keep their phone plugged in on the kitchen overnight and don't pick it up until they're leaving the house the next morning. Some of you may already do this. Another route would be to potentially suggest self-imposed time limits on social media apps, which can be managed through the Screen Time app on iPhones. I've done this with a few times with my students over the weekends where they voluntarily give me their phone and I put in a password that they don't know. I've had addicted students emailing me over the weekend begging for the code. As I said, many of you parents are already implementing these things, but this just serves as a way to continually think and process of different strategies and techniques to inform tech-wise disciples.